I'm Jihan El Tahari. I'm an Egyptian filmmaker. I do mainly feature-length documentaries about politics and history. And cinema for me is, I guess, dreamland. It's where we go to dream and think and, and try and understand, really. I came to cinema through journalism. And it was at this moment when you're a journalist that you realize that there are all these bits and pieces, but you really don't understand, and the whole picture. Telling stories, what's nicer than telling stories? We have developed as Africans our own way of telling stories, which I think is expressing ourselves. If we're talking market and things like that, yes, we have a niche, and a niche that is starting to look very much like a ghetto, which I don't like. But I think that this space of identifying a group and a kind of telling story as African cinema is not a bad thing. There's a lot at stake. I mean, I think we're at a crossroad. Now is the time that all these old systems of African cinema funding, production, kind of films we make is in flux at the moment. So a lot is at stake. Where are we going from here? And I think for African filmmakers, we've always had the short stick because we have no distribution. I mean, you make a film, you spend 3, 4, 5 years trying to make a film, and then you just see it in festivals. I think we've reached a stage after 40 years of trying to, and for Spako playing a big role in that, trying to be out there. I think we've reached the stage where most filmmakers, rather than telling the stories from their guts, we're trying to fit into something or other. So it's like, are we the bottom of the scale of Hollywood, or are we at the top of the scale of Nollywood? And I think it's an important moment because we can take the initiative and run with it because of the new media. Documentary is suffering. Documentary has never had its place in the African world. Most of the documentary films we see about Africa come from the West. So we start seeing our true stories again through the eyes of the West and being transmitted to us. And I think a part of the problem is that us Africans ourselves and the officials and the programmers and the curators don't think that documentary is film. They don't think it's cinema. There's this thought that when you're a documentary filmmaker, you're just practicing to become a feature filmmaker. And you're there saying, you know what, it's a different form of expression. It's a different language of telling a story. And I really think that there's a lot of work to be done. The film funds exclude documentary. Most festivals, big festivals, exclude documentary. And when they are there, they're sort of like, okay, we'll let you in, but be quiet and sit in the dumps over there. So there's something about how we should perceive documentary, the role of documentary. I think that's something that should be debated amongst ourselves before we try and impose it. Because, things don't come to you. Either work for it and impose it and say, that's it, or it doesn't happen.